Pelé, the greatest footballer who ever lived, carried a name that was never supposed to be his. A single typo, one careless mistake on a piece of paper, and the man the world came to worship as Pelé was never even called that at home. This is the story of a boy born with one name, given another by accident, mocked for a third, and how all three became the most famous identity in football history. October 23rd, 1940. A small town called Três Coracoes in southeastern Brazil. A baby boy is born to a modest family. His father, Dondinho, a footballer himself, and his mother, Celeste. They had already decided what to name him. They wanted to honor one of the greatest minds in human history, the American inventor Thomas Edison. But they didn't want Edison. They wanted something softer, more Brazilian. So they decided to drop the I and call their son Edson. Simple enough, right? Except what happened next would follow this child for the rest of his life. When the birth certificate was filled out, whether by mistake or by misunderstanding, the clerk wrote Edison with the I, the name his parents had specifically chosen not to use. And just like that, before the boy had taken his first steps, before he had kicked his first ball, the world's paperwork said one thing, and his family said another. His parents called him Edson. The documents said Edison. A split identity before he was even old enough to know his own name. In his own words, Pelé later said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he thought the name sounded horrible. Rubbish. Meaningless. I was proud to be named after Thomas Edison, he said. Edson sounded serious and important. What even is Pelé? He fought the nickname. He argued with classmates. He begged people to stop. He was so upset about it that he was actually suspended from school at one point for fighting over the name. But you know how it goes with nicknames. The harder you fight them, the more they stick. And this one stuck to him like no name had ever stuck to anyone. He couldn't escape it at school. He couldn't escape it on the street. And when his football talent started to show, when it became clear this boy was something different, something special, the name followed the talent. By the time he was a teenager, nobody in Bauru called him Edson anymore. The documents still said Edison. His mother still said Edson. But the streets? The pitches? The crowds? Pelé. At just 15 years old, Pelé signed for Santos FC. At 16, he was the top scorer in the Brazilian league. At 17 years old, he was on the plane to the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. And what happened there made the name immortal. He scored 6 goals in 4 games. He became the youngest player in World Cup history to score in a final, a record that still stands today. Brazil won. The world went mad. And the name Pelé, the accidental name, the mispronounced name, the name he once got suspended for fighting about, echoed across every continent. In languages that didn't share a single word with Portuguese, Pelé translated perfectly. The documents still said Edison. He still introduced himself as Edson in formal settings. But to a planet of football fans, he was, is, and always will be Pelé. He went on to win 3 World Cups, score over 1,200 goals. FIFA called him the greatest player of the 20th century. The International Olympic Committee named him Athlete of the Century, all under a name that came from a typo and a child's inability to say a goalkeeper's nickname properly. Late in his life, Pelé was asked about the name again, and his answer had changed. He said, "Thanks to that goalkeeper bile and a classmate's little joke, I became Pelé. Now it's known across the world, and I don't mind it so much." The greatest footballer who ever lived spent his whole career carrying a name born from a typo and a mispronunciation. And somehow, it became the most recognized name in football history. Maybe the name doesn't make the man. Maybe the man makes the name. Whatever you call him, Edison, Edson, or Pelé, the boy from Três Coracoes changed football forever. If you found this story as incredible as I did, subscribe. Because football history is full of stories the world forgot to tell. And we're just getting started.